I am live at the Disrupt J20 press conference. We'll be starting in a few minutes. We'll be talking about anti-inaugural activities for January 20th.
So thank you everyone for being here. We are going to get started, if that's all right. Thanks for being here for the Disrupt J20 press conference. The purpose of this press conference is basically to provide information on the activities that are going to happen this weekend, next week, and the near-term activities here that are going to be happening. There's a massive undertaking in the district to actually oppose the inauguration of Donald J. Trump. You can get a lot of information about it, including a schedule of events and activities on our website. That is www.disruptj20.org. Also, if you go to About and then you go to Media, you'll see our sort of press-oriented material, which is our press release. And that has kind of a variety of bunches of information, as well as a few press events that are open to the press, such as this weekend at our action camp. So just wanted to say real quickly, as we get started here, that this event is being live streamed. It's actually being live streamed via Unite for America, and you can actually see the link if you go to the Twitter account, UniteAmerica.org. So that again is Twitter account UniteAmerica.org without any punctuation, and so it's actually, the live stream will be available there. You can reference it later if you know. So we have here five core organizers, myself included, and we have 4 core organizers here at Disrupt J20 who are going to be speaking about our events. We have had a variety of meetings. Just this past Sunday, we had a meeting with about 300 attendees who are organizing and putting everything together for the weekend's events. And so we're just a few, and we're going to talk to you about the logistics of what is going to be expected. This is David Thurston. He's going to start us off, and he's going to tell us just a comprehensive overview and whatever else that you would like to say about the activities.
Sure. Thank you, Lucy, and thank you to all of you for coming out and covering this press conference. My name is David Thurston. I'm a Washington, D.C. native, and I got involved in the organizing around the inauguration because I was utterly shocked and appalled at the results of the election, and wanted to see the broadest possible resistance built to the extremely authoritarian right-wing regime that Trump represents, that's embodied by the people he's appointing to head his the various agencies of the federal government, and the far right-wing forces in this country who've been emboldened by his campaign, which is animated by so much xenophobia, racism, misogyny, and flagrant bigotry. We are the Disrupt J20 Collective. We are a core of organizers who have reached out to literally hundreds of people around the district, Maryland and Virginia, to build the broadest possible mobilization against Trump's agenda. We've held 2 large mass meetings, which have drawn hundreds, and we've gone out to do art, we've done street art, we've done visuals, we have stickers. We're trying to get as many people in the streets as possible. And I think it's safe to say that there will be thousands of people in the streets on January 20th to show Trump that he will not go unopposed. This is a really important time for people to rebuild protest, struggle, and organization. Because we are living in perilous times. Climate change is now. The threat of nuclear war and nuclear arms race that Trump has toyed with through various tweets the xenophobia that threatens Arab and Muslim immigrants with being banned from the United States or put on a registry, the fear that faces undocumented immigrants who are living with the threat that they will face mass deportation under a Trump administration. All these things are reasons, are fuel that's stoking the fires of a seething rebellion that we want to see develop in this city, this region, and really across this country. And our challenge is to galvanize the massive level of anti-Trump sentiment. I believe that he got about 96% of people in DC voted for someone other than Donald Trump for president. So we want to get people in the streets who are against Trump and want to see something different built. But we also have to challenge the faulty alliances that Trump was able to forge to win the election. We want to drive a wedge between Trump and the billionaire appointees who he's staffing his cabinet with, and the millions of low-income, largely white, poor and working class voters who fell for the vision of Trump as the savior of the common man who would make America great again and bring jobs back, all of which was a lot of hot air, lies, and deception by someone who has made a living and a career off of exploiting the most vulnerable people in our society. So our goals are to have massive protests, to shut down the inauguration if at all possible, and if not possible, if we can't shut the inauguration down, we're going to make it as difficult as possible for Trump to act as if he has the mandate that he has claimed by virtue of the far right-wing appointees he has been naming to staff his cabinet. So the aspect of our mobilization that I'm going to talk about, which is where I've been most focused, is what we're calling the Festival of Resistance, which is the march from Union Station, Columbus Circle is the name of the area right in front of Union Station, to McPherson Square. And we wanted to call it a Festival of Resistance because we want to have a positive vision of the kind of world we could live in and the kind of aspirations that our movements need to have if we're going to withstand the horror of 4 years of a Trump administration. We're against Trump, we're against racism, we're against bigotry, we're against misogyny, but we are for a world where all of our needs are met, where the world's wealth is used to meet human need, where things that can be done, things are done not simply because someone can make a profit out of doing them, but because communities are empowered to shape their own lives and to shape their own destinies. So the festival will include drummers, indigenous drummers, musicians. We are planning on having a float of dancers. There'll be a lot of vibrant cultural energy, a lot of great visuals, and we are hoping through the march to counter the dismal character of Trump's inaugural parade. He couldn't even get a single high school marching band in DC to march with him. So we're gonna throw a party in the streets for our side, a party for justice and a step towards building the kind of movements that can actually challenge Trump and transform our society. So the festival will go from Columbus Circle to McPherson Square. We'll meet at Columbus Circle at about 12 o'clock, step off at about 12:45, hopefully get to McPherson Square by about 2. We'll have a short rally with speakers and music, and that will be the end of that portion of the activities. So I'll pass it back to Liz.
Well, thanks. I guess I should mention also, just we're all going to say a few words, and then of course we'll have a Q&A session after we've all said a few words. So Samantha Miller kind of addressing permitting and also legal issues.
Hi, my name is Samantha Miller. I'm a local organizer here in Washington, D.C. And I wanted to address any questions that might come up about permits. So I know there's been a lot of talk about permits since the Women's March. There's lots of people who have become experts. But we do have 2 permits as well as a March permit for January 20th. Columbus Circle, the area in front of Union Station, is fully permitted for us for that day where we'll be gathering. We have a march route. We have a permitted march route that takes us from Columbus Circle to McPherson Square, going up Mass to K and weaving around a little bit to accommodate our float of dancers because of the vehicle restriction zones. And we will be ending at McPherson Square where we also have a permit. McPherson Square is going to be set up all day as an outdoor convergence space. We'll have a heated event tent. We'll have a stage and sound. We'll have a professional stage and sound. Don't worry, there will be a mulch box, y'all. And we'll have some programming going on there throughout the day, and that's going to be sort of a drop-in space where people who are going to be in the streets doing all of the different actions that Em and Legba are going to talk about in just a minute, and anyone doing any other actions for that day can come, converge with other people, get warm for a moment, access some medics, legal resources, other things like that. And we'll be there starting at 9 a.m. and going through till about 6 p.m. I also just wanted to share quickly that we also have an action camp planned for this weekend from the 14th through the 16th. At that action camp, we're going to be doing a lot of nonviolent direct action trainings, know your rights trainings, and a whole array of workshops on different organizing skills and topics like how to confront fascism effectively. Those workshops will be taking place at American University on the 14th and the 15th, and here at St. Stephen's Church on the 16th. There is one direct action training that we have open to the media by request, and that schedule is on the website. And if you have other questions about the action camp, I'm happy to answer them in the Q&A portion. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thanks. And so, as you all should know, because you've seen our press materials, we have also 12 distinct protests planned on the day of, and Emilia, she's here to talk about actually those 12 protests.
Hi, so my name is Emilia Talarico. I'm also a local organizer in DC, and I'm going to be talking about the early morning blockades that we'll be organizing. My name is spelled Emmelia. And so I'll be talking about the early morning blockades. We've been working with several different groups and communities based on different issues to come together to have movement blockades happen early in the morning, and this is to show a show of magnitude of the different issues that Trump is going to be facing over the next 4 years, and how we're all stronger working together. In the early morning, there'll be checkpoints open for the parade and for the commencement ceremonies, and we're going to have different communities and groups staged at each different checkpoint. The issue-based groups and communities that we're working with are Black Lives Matter, climate justice, trade justice, economic justice, communities under attack, future is feminists, labor justice, LGBTQ, witness against torture, and anti-war. And the idea here is to symbolically or physically shut down each checkpoint in order to delay the parade at least. I'll hand it back over to Lacey.
Okay, and in addition to the checkpoint actions, we have other actions outside of the permitted sphere that Legba Carrefour is going to address.
Hi, thank you. My name is Legba Carrefour. I'm also a DC native and a local organizer. I am going to talk about the unpermitted actions we're planning to confront the bag of jerks that are coming to our city soon. So starting on January 18th, we've planned at 6 p.m. a queer dance party at Mike Pence's house in Chevy Chase, which we're pretty excited about. We're expecting a lot of dancers to show up there, and we're going to dump glitter on his front lawn. The next day is going to be the Deplorable, which is an alt-right, which we call Nazi, gathering of people at an inaugural ball in, where is it?
The National Press.
At the National Press Club, thank you. At the National Press Club, and we'll be confronting it with a pretty strong contingent of people from a group called Smash Racism DC. And then the next day on the 20th, starting at 10 a.m. at the Key Bridge, there's going to be a very fierce and very confrontational anti-capitalist bloc that's going to march throughout the city, and we'll be confronting people as needed. And I think that's about it for me.
So I'll just offer that to give the big picture of what's going on for January 20th. we're planning this whole array of different types of actions, both direct actions, civil disobedience type actions, and permitted actions, to show the massive diversity and strength of the resistance to Trump's regime. So starting from early in the morning with the checkpoints that Amalea talked about, to the unpermitted march at 10 a.m., to the permitted march and festival of resistance at noon, and probably other actions yet to be determined later on through the afternoon, and at the balls that night. So these are sort of the plans that we can share publicly right now. There's going to be a lot more emerging throughout the next week, and there will probably be a lot that springs up spontaneously on that day. So we hope to see y'all in the streets.
Okay, and with that, I guess we're taking a few questions. Melanie?
Thank you, Lizzie. For Red Rock, please, or perhaps any of the other folks as well. You mentioned the National Press Club Deplorable, whatever they're calling it. There's a second one at the Reagan Center called Deplorable Nations, organized by Chamber of Commerce, Trump guy from Miami. Are you all going to be present at that one as well? It's on the same day, but different start time.
Is it on the 19th?
It's on the same day as the one at the National Press Club, and it's bigger. It's in the Ronald Reagan Center Ballroom on Pennsylvania Avenue.
So I can't talk any specifically answer that, but we are planning going to a lot of different balls at once. We're calling it hashtag Ball Crusher, actually.
So I can just speak also to the decision to do protests at the Deplorable. It's essentially one of the one of the most deplorable balls. They've adequately named themselves that, and I think that the decision was made by the DC Anti-Fascist Coalition, of which I'm a member. We decided to do actions at the Deplorable, mostly because this is something that actually is not, it can't be separated from the Trump regime. And the 19th, Trump will not have even started office or taken office when they actually are already starting to celebrate. So anyway, it's one of those things, like, this is actually like one of the worst factions of the Trump regime. These are people who, the same people who will salute, make Nazi salutes, and also, make incredibly, awfully racist, sexist, very misogynist comments. And so anyway, this is they're one and the same with the Trump regime. They're that underbelly.
Can I just follow up, sorry, Lacey, regarding the press club protest, they're not letting any media in there, the other ball is, so where will you all be? Because you won't be able to get in that. Oh, I don't know, where will you be for the press club protest?
We'll be in the streets outside and other places.
On 13?
Yep.
Lacey, do you want to get specific about that?
What's your arrival time, do you know?
Lacey?
The Deplorable. It is 8 p.m. We will be arriving outside at the National Press Club.
On the street outside?
Yeah, on the street outside, yes. And there are action as well. And but the gathering point is 8 p.m. outside of the National Press
Do you
Club.
have any sense of how many folks might be there? Roughly? Not at the ball, but you guys.
It's the evening before our massive actions, and so a lot of people will be coming into town already and ready to go out and do something in order to voice their opposition. And so I think that we're going to see a huge crowd. In terms of numbers, I'm really not the person to actually ask for estimates of numbers, but I think it's going to be massive. But the next day, the 20th, is going to be much larger.
Can I ask a logistical question for Amelia? In doing actions, what time is it just going to be before the sun comes up? And also, I don't know if any of you had actions at like the DNC or RNC conventions. In both of those, there seemed to be sort of a general main area where people going to those conventions were, and a lot of the protests sort of galvanized to that area. Do you envision a point? Because it's sort of a logistical thing for those of us in the media to cover it, because even for us, movement's going to be restricted, and we obviously want to give you coverage. So timing and location.
So,
with apologies, before you ask that question, I think we've had a request for press to identify themselves. So I'll just say that's Melanie with NHK Japan, and
Where did you get the last name?
sure, I can answer that. The checkpoint actions is gonna be taking place between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. We're giving the timing discretion up to the individual groups so they have full autonomy in planning the actions. The checkpoints that we'll be focusing will be on the north side of Pennsylvania Avenue and the north side of the Capitol.
okay, so I guess it's on you.
Maybe it's the German TV, just to follow up on that. I mean, as you said, things are going to be evolving. There'll be a lot of stuff maybe spontaneous. Are you going to be posting on Twitter so we can all follow up on where you are, what's going on?
Yes, we'll be posting updates on our Twitter, which is DisruptJ20, and you can get updates there throughout the day on where different actions are popping up.
And there's a schedule that's posted on the front page of disruptj20.org.
We have
Right, but presumably that won't be up to date with...
Yes, but on the day of, following our Twitter is going to be the best bet for figuring out where the actions are happening at what time, especially the ones that we don't quite know about yet.
Following our Twitter will be the best way to stay up to date, and also know that we have a team of roughly 20 volunteer media liaisons who will be actually providing the information to feed that Twitter account. So there should be information coming in from actually actions across the city on that day. And you're the one I saw next, and then you.
Samara from Channel 9. You said some of your actions will be on the north side, Pennsylvania Avenue. All the checkpoints there or certain ones?
All the checkpoints there.
All of them? Nothing on the south side?
We're working on filling those checkpoints too, but right now the checkpoints that we definitely have filled are on the north side of Pennsylvania Avenue and the north side of the Capitol.
Hi, Karen Sloan with CNBC. You mentioned the queer dance party. Do you know what time that will be?
6 p.m.
Do you have an address?
Yeah, 3333, 43s, Tennyson Street Northwest.
333 Tennyson.
Yeah.
And that's in Chevy Chase?
Yeah. The very tip end of Chevy Chase.
And what time, I'm sorry?
6 p.m.
18.
18th.
6 p.m. on the 18th.
6 p.m. January 18th at 3333 Tennyson Street Northwest.
How many folks do you think will be there?
I expect a lot. We don't really play the numbers game typically because when the left tends to do that, we tend to either overestimate or underestimate. So just show up, I guess. I'm sorry.
It'll be interesting, we promise.
Yeah, it won't be boring.
Harry Stein, Washington Post. I walked in a little late, so I apologize if you answered this. But what is, and I asked this seriously, why are you sharing this all with us? What is the strategy behind that? And are you afraid that something will be set up at Mike Pence's house so you can't hold it?
So generally we take an open organizing model for this kind of thing. So we feel that it's important to sort of broadcast and publicly talk about what we're doing, mostly to gather numbers and gain large amounts of people. Also, there's not a lot of things that people can do to stop us because we have the numbers behind us. And we typically feel that having that kind of model is the best way of keeping ourselves safe and a way of getting our numbers out.
If you don't think that if police suspect you guys at checkpoint, they're going to be, I mean, you're going to have Secret Service, police, and they've done this a billion times.
The easy answer is the best they could do is shut down the checkpoints themselves then.
I'll also say that the checkpoints are going to be pretty different than they've been in the past. We have a lot different security procedures in place than they had for the 2009 or 2013 inaugurations. So we're dealing not with the same thing that we've seen before. We have heard that there's going to be those like TSA X-ray machines that you have to walk through and things like that. So we're expecting that the checkpoints are already going to be a huge mess, and that any delays or obstructions of those checkpoints could make a really significant impact on the attendance and ability of people to get to the parade route who want to celebrate this new president for reasons that we don't understand.
I just want to say something about why we want to work with the media and collaborate with media outlets to cover what we're doing. Trump's administration represents a vicious assault on all gains of social struggles in this country's history, from the gains of the civil rights movement to the victories of the labor movement in the 1930s, the changes in the welfare state established under FDR and the New Deal in the face of social movements. And he wants to assault the basic right to free speech in our country, as exemplified by his rallies at which people were chanting profanities about his opponent. He threatened to jail his opponent if he won. He's dropped that one, apparently, and he's talking tough on Russia now, which is interesting. But this man has utter contempt and disdain for the press and the media, and we want to reach out to folks to say there are other voices in this country that need to be heard, and let's not give the megaphone to the billionaire bully who thinks he can get away with whatever he wants, tell whatever lies he wants, and run roughshod over everyone's rights in this country. We are attempting to build a broad movement that can challenge him, and I'm confident that we'll have the numbers to do it. I mean, we are a very decentralized organization and structure. There's no one who's in charge. There's no central committee coordinating things. There's collectives of people who trust each other, who know each other, who are building the kind of relationships of trust, understanding, mutual respect, and political solidarity that are going to be necessary to challenge Trump in the years to come, and to build organization that can sustain struggle from the episodic protest one week, protest the next week, to build organization that can really fundamentally transform our country and our world.
Can I follow on that? Follow on what you're saying, are you, as we saw in the campaign, and I covered a lot of those protests, Trump supporters confronted, attacked, however you want to describe it, protesters in some spots. Are you guys concerned at all that Trump supporters may confront you and attack you?
Yeah, so we have heard a lot of fears about that, about Trump supporters, especially violent right-wing Trump supporters, especially who might want to or be likely to attack people of color, women, queer folks, immigrants, anyone who's perceived as Arab or Muslim. They have a long list of people that they don't like. And we are definitely worried about our safety and all of the people's safety who are going to be protesting with us. So we're going to be doing a lot of training and a lot of preparation to get people ready to be in the streets, to talk about de-escalation, to talk about how to keep yourself safe. We're gonna have, people are gonna be working in groups and small teams so that they have people with them protecting that can, back them up. We're gonna have street medics, we're going to have legal observers and teams of legal folks out. So we're putting into place as much as we can to make sure that anyone who wants to go out and protest is going to be safe doing that, despite whatever violence the right might bring to us. And the biggest thing is that I'm not willing to back down and say we shouldn't protest because the right wing is scary or because racists might be violent, because that lets them win. So we're gonna be out in the streets, we're gonna be out in the streets in force, we're gonna be showing our solidarity and our opposition, and we're not going to back down.
Yeah, and just to tip off on that, all of us on this panel, everyone in the Cornelius group has been getting death threats since day one we started this. I got an email that consisted of nothing but my parents' full names and a swastika, for example. And it's not stopping us at all or slowing us down, so we're just not really worried about it.
That's the one thing about this. I've dealt with this issue a lot. I was the anti-racism organizer and educator for a local immigrant rights group for 2 years, from 2008 to 2010. And one of my jobs was to disarm the violently anti-immigrant African-American folks who were working with an anti-immigrant group that was run by white racists, and they forged this unholy alliance with black people who had had traumatic experiences in life that they projected as being because of immigrants. And there are the very scary neo-Nazis who are cheering Trump, who are being smuggled into the federal government by people like Jeff Sessions, who is an utter bigot, who's been appointed Attorney General of all things. But most of the people who fell for Trump's line aren't there. We have to drive a wedge. We have to expose the neo-Nazis for what they are and say they are trying to recruit, they're trying to grow, and we're not going to let them grow. And if we get into confrontations with people, we are going to want to take the high ground stay positive, say, we're here to protest, we're here to protest for these reasons, this is what we have to say. If people want to vent, let them vent, let them listen to them, hear where they're coming from, because most people who fell for Trump's line are coming from a place where they've had real grievances about economic inequality in our country. Bernie Sanders has spoken to this somewhat over the last several weeks, but there are people who've been left behind by the neoliberal capitalist juggernaut, and Trump has claimed that he's going to be the great emancipator of white people, as if white people needed emancipation. But you know, we have to challenge that and say we can build alliances to forge solidarity between working people who are Black, Latino, Muslim, Arab, and white, and build the kind of united social movement that can transform our country and our world. That's our project. And we welcome you to cover it, to support it, do everything you can, because we are up against, if we don't fight now, in 8 years, the quote about Nazi Germany, first they came for the communists, I wasn't a communist, then they came for the Jews, I wasn't a Jew. Trump is going for the Arabs and Muslims today. In 8 years, you all will be gone. And we will listen to Breitbart and Trump's tweet, and that will be the media in this country if we don't take a stand.
I'm Dustin Resco at Malia, you said, I think, shut down the checkpoints literally or figuratively. Since you are telling us what you plan to do, can you explain a little bit more so we can go back and tell our directors, here's what we need to watch for?
So I believe I said physically or symbolically.
Okay, there you go.
When I mean physically, I mean people will put their bodies physically on the line to stop people from being able to get through the checkpoints. And when I mean symbolically, people who can't afford to take more risks, they will do it, you know, they'll block the checkpoints as much as they can for as long as they can. So we have a good mix of groups that will be putting their bodies straight up on the road, in front of the checkpoints, like doing what they can for as long as they can to block it. And then there'll be people who will be taking less risks, who will do it like as long as they can without getting arrested or without facing violence.
So Hillary Clinton, for instance, is going to this march, and just to like that could push back a little bit.
Wait, when you say this march, what march?
I'm sorry, Hillary Clinton is going to this inauguration.
Okay.
A lot of people see inauguration itself as representing the peaceful transfer of power, regardless of which candidate. And I believe that's why Clinton, for instance, said she was going. Do you guys see yourselves as disrupting that part, that transfer of power, or are you? How do you separate protesting the transfer of power versus protesting Donald Trump?
No, that's a great question, and we do see ourselves as protesting the peaceful transition of power. We are not in favor of the peaceful transition of power. You know, after the election, we saw this great upsurge in spontaneous anger in the streets and people protesting in cities all across the nation. And you saw Democratic Party luminaries from Obama to Hillary Clinton saying, tamp this down, please stop this. The peaceful transition of power is of utmost importance to the core element of democracy. To me, that says they value the continuity of government over who runs the government, be it a fascist or not. So to us, we need to stop the peaceful transition of power, to stop this kind of fascist government coming into power.
Yeah, personally, I'd like to add to that I don't see basically that. I mean, I think that there's basically, you know, our government has issues. The system that we're in has issues. Actually, I think that the people who were kind of fooled by Donald Trump actually understood that. And we see that. We know Washington, D.C. is corrupt. We actually have been activists here for a while, all of us. And so the system already is scary, and when Donald Trump won the election, actually, this took on a whole new urgency, and we absolutely are opposed to the transition.
Bueno, hay un hombre aquí que pueden interpretar en español y hay gente de la prensa que necesitan intervención, posiblemente hablar conmigo y se
I have a logistical
Yeah,
question.
we
You
do
said,
have, I'm sorry, just to kind of say, we do have actually Spanish language interpretation. Our needs an interviewee who is basically an organizer who's been working with us and also a Spanish speaker. He is here. So.
So I'll say a few things here. First of all, unpermitted marches are actually allowed to happen in DC. You can take the streets in an unpermitted march and express your First Amendment rights to free speech. So having an unpermitted march in and of itself is a thing that happens quite frequently in Washington, DC. And we expect at least this one unpermitted march that we're talking about here, and probably lots of other unpermitted marches to happen throughout the day. And I'll also say that the unpermitted march and the permitted march are planned in at different times and in different parts of the city.
are you willing to share that information on start times and locations?
Yeah, totally. The unpermitted march starts at 10 a.m. at the Key Bridge.
Okay.
The permitted march starts at
12 p.m. at Columbus Circle, right in front of Union Station.
That's when it's
The
going to
gathering is
Pearson.
at 12, we're probably stepping off at 12:30 or 12:45.
Where's the 12 one? I'm sorry?
Columbus Circle, which is right in front of Union Station.
And that's the one that goes to McPherson?
Yes.
Yep.
Those
I
are
have a-
the
And
blue
again,
poster.
there are other unpermitted marches that will be happening that day. It's just that that's the one that's public. That's the one that's publicized, that 10 a.m. march that Leica was just mentioning.
And then a question, you were saying you were going to try to disrupt things on the north side of the perimeter. Are you talking about the north side of the mall or the parade route?
The parade route. So Pennsylvania Avenue is going to be where the parade is,
Right.
and there's going to be checkpoints that are going to be along Indiana Avenue, E Street, D Street, and C Street. I believe is where the checkpoints will be, and that's where we'll be focusing. We're trying to get to the south side, but at this time, what we have concrete is on the north side.
And the parade route, nothing on the National Mall,
Nothing on the mall yet.
because they have checkpoints as well. Okay.
Jason, Unite for America. So some people have been asking if these actions and any of these marches are going to be family friendly. Can you give some information on that and what actions that families can come to and feel safe going to?
The Festival of Resistance is fully permitted and is meant to be community friendly and as inclusive as possible. So we're encouraging anyone and everyone to come to the Festival of Resistance. Again, the route is fully permitted. We're going to have marching bands. We're going to have puppets. We're going to have dancers. We're going to have drummers. It really will be a festival, and that is a great place for anyone who's worried about any kids or things like that to come on down and hang out with us.
In fact, we may even have a banner for children against Trump that was emerged from our last organizing, which could be really energized because there have been their high school and middle school, even elementary school students walked out in DC right after the election. There were more than 10,000 people who marched. There are university students around the area who have been organizing, so it should be really dynamic.
Well, so one more question from
Yeah,
Melvin.
just a quick question. In terms of the protesters at the checkpoints, are they all DC based, or are you enlisting others from the rest of the country who are coming in?
They're coming in from all over the country.
You're working with a lot of other national groups for
Absolutely.
your staffing at the checkpoints?
Yep.
And just a quick question, logistics. The training that you mentioned, Lacey, which one is open press? The one here on Monday, is that open press?
So the next training that is also a photo op, and we have kind of made it kind of a place where press could access it, is at 2 p.m. on Saturday at our Disrupt J20 Action Camp. The Action Camp should have a few hundred people involved, and this is just one of the workshops at that Action Camp. It's 2 p.m. on Saturday at American University.
You can
and
find all
there's-
the details on the website.
Yeah, there's more information on our website.
Where at the university?
It's between the SIS building and the K Chapel. Those are the two buildings where the action camp is going to be. I know Sam probably.
I can pull up the room number in a sec, but it's listed on the website. So I will go to the website and look, or you can go to the website and look.
Could you say more about that actual workshop, the one that's open at 2 p.m.?
That workshop is going to be a nonviolent action action training workshop. So basically, it is going to be a training for people who are actually going to be preparing for civil disobedience. And did you want to say more about this? It's fine. Okay. Well, so you had a question?
Yeah, Jeffrey Cook from ABC News. So some of what you talked about is physically blockading the entrances to the inauguration checkpoints. Are you concerned, and obviously that's going to disrupt the logistics of getting into the inauguration, are you guys concerned or have any concern about affecting the actual security measures regarding the inauguration?
No.
Yep, can't add to that.
Just a quick clarification, nothing on Saturday, the 21st, right?
We're not planning actions on Saturday. There's a women's march planned.
Right, yeah.
Some people who are involved in our networks may be going to, but it's not something
We're focusing on Inauguration Day itself. We see that as the most strategic moment to oppose Trump from day one.
Well, so thanks everyone for being here, and thanks especially for your understanding in terms of the sound. I know that it would have been wonderful if we had a mouth box, but I hope that the fact that we didn't will help kind of demonstrate that we are an unfunded group. We exist via tiny donations, and yeah, we're basically an ad hoc group oriented around J20. Of course, if you have any more questions, feel free to come up and talk to any of us afterwards, but thank you so much for being here.